Hi, I'm Campbell Such. This is Mind Bite Thursday, your weekly dose of the human edge in technology. This week, hiring. Traditionally, businesses have hired using a process that's all around making sure the person coming in can do the job. So they build a skill set and then they go out to the market or go out to the recruitment organisation or a number of them and look to fill that role. They hire, they interview based on those skills and they make a decision and bring them on board. One of the challenges when you look at the people that haven't worked out in your organisation and your teams is it's almost never the skill set that you hired them on that's the challenge. It's almost always the other non-technical skills, how they manage themselves and how they manage their interactions with other people. That combined area, their attitude, are they open to learning new things? Are they flexible? Are they coachable? Do they interact well with other people? One of the big challenges we have in our organisations with growth, with the exponential change that's going on at the moment is that the half-life of skills, in other words, how long a skill would take till it dropped to half its value, used to be 30 years. Now it's dropped down to 6 years and it's continuing to drop, which means that we're going to have to learn new skills. So unless someone's open to learning and growing and being coachable and teachable, then it's going to be a challenge, because in 2 to 5 years time, the skills that they've come into your organisation with aren't going to be as valuable as they are now and may well be worthless. And on the flip side of that is the skills that we'll need in 5 to 10 years time. Most of those skills or jobs don't even exist today. So lifelong learning and being coachable and taking on new things is something that is critical. So if you're not hiring with those things in mind, you tend to find that there's some real challenges and that people may not last so long. So how do you turn that round? Well, one of the key things that I've found is that to look for, how do we predict how someone will behave going forward? And the best predictors of how someone will behave in the future is to look at their past behaviour. What a lot of interview approaches tend to do is based on scenario planning. What would you do if? The challenge with that is that all it really shows when you do that is someone's ability to make up an answer on the spot and probably indicates that they're really good at interviewing. It may not indicate that they're really good at doing the job. However, if you focus on what they've done in the past, it's a much better predictor of how they'll behave and what their performance will be like going forward. So focus your questions on those. And there's a series of questions that I've found in an article that I've read years ago that I use a lot in interviewing, and I'll run you through those questions. So the first question is to ask them is, when have you gone above and beyond for a customer or for a colleague? And to look at what it is out of the answer of that question that might indicate what they've done and how they've done it, to indicate how they might interact going forward. The second question is to ask them when they've been in a situation with a particularly troublesome or a conflict situation with a colleague or someone outside of the team or outside of the organisation, how have they gone about dealing with it? Have they been able to find a solution to work around it? Have they admitted some mistakes about the process that they've gone through? And then you can open up the conversation with around that, about having learnt that, how would they do something differently going forward? The third question is to ask them if they've ever sought feedback, proactively sought feedback, and if they did, were they open to act? Did they act on the feedback that they received? Were they open to it? Were they really challenged with it and resist it? And then look at, did they act on it? Did they implement it, and what happened and how that meant that they grew and developed going forward? And the fourth question is to look at, how have they been in a situation where it's been challenging, conflict, uncomfortable, and how have they used humour? Not that you want a comedian, but the ability to use humour is a really good sign of ability to be able to interact really well with other people and not to take yourself too seriously, and to be able to manage yourself really well. So these aren't hypothetical what would you do if questions, they're practical what did you do questions. How did you do this? How did you solve it? What was the thing that you actually did, not what would you do? It's a much more powerful way of predicting future performance. So just to wrap up, there's a key message from today, and that is if you're using the traditional method of hiring, to consider flipping that around and looking at hiring, rather than for technical skills, producing a job spec and then going out to the recruiter or to the market and filling the job based on filling those skills. Recognize the half-life of skills is dropping through the floor, the value of skills going forward is going to drop away, and that we're going to have to continually train and relearn. So look for the attitude. Are they open to being trained and learning? Are they coachable? Is their attitude right? Do they deal well with other people? Those skills are the ones that help, that are twice as important as the technical skills for long-term career success and will really help in your team. Ask a series of questions based on trying to identify what people have done in the past is a really good predictor of what they'll do in the future. Specifically, stay away from the scenario-based questions, because all they really do is show that someone can create answers on the spot to a question and perhaps create an interview really well, but aren't necessarily going to do the job really well. It's not that they won't, but it's not really necessarily a good indicator. So hopefully that's some food for thought. That's Campbell Such Mind Bite Thursday for this week. See ya.